Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. It's Bill Latka. How are you doing? Here I am on my front porch, and I just missed the rain that came through. We had a huge thunderstorm up here in Traverse City, and it's kind of heading across northwest lower Michigan. It is, but I'm dry and, kind of just a little bit sticky here on the porch. Welcome to the stream. I think we're going to just give it a few seconds here for people to gather. I am going to do my best to go look in the comments while you guys have, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in the comments. And let's see. Yeah, it looks like we got more people joining. It is like 72 degrees and it's supposed to be 90 today, so I am ready to go to the beach when this is over and when the rain's over, of course. I'd just like to give a big shout out to Seth Bernard for inviting me to come and share some of my skills today. I have been organizing for environmental issues for over 10 years now, probably going on maybe 15 years. But just for a little background here, my name is Bill Latka. Welcome, in case you're just joining us. I am one of the co-founders of the Oil and Water Don't Mix campaign to shut down the Line 5 oil pipeline. I own a company called Storylicious, and I've sort of become a semi-professional activist because I'm really passionate about environmental issues, and I am also very interested in climate change. That's what actually got me into it. And shutting down a pipeline was a natural extension of trying to act on climate. So I do a lot of work with the Michigan Climate Action Network. I do a lot of work with Michigan Environmental Council, National Wildlife Federation, several other nonprofits around the state and around the country. And I have I've been really self-taught because when I first started this, digital organizing was sort of new. So I sort of had to learn some things along the way, and I read a lot, and I look to others for some ideas, and to kind of bolster my efficacy, make sure that my communication is clear, concise, effective, and most importantly, get people to take action. So today, I sort of want to talk about how to get people to take action when you're doing sort of a digital organizing, which is what we all have to do these days, especially with COVID. So thanks for joining me. Once again, I'm trying to moderate the chat here, and if you have any questions as we get going, go ahead and type them in the comments there, and I'll try to answer your questions live if I can. So I am, let's see, how should we get started? So Oil and Water Don't Mix is a campaign that, as you know, is working to shut down this Line 5 oil pipeline. Over the years, we have assembled a list of over 25,000 people that we email on a regular basis. And one of the most important, sending mass emails is one of the most effective ways that you can keep your supporters engaged, just because, 25,000 people, it's hard to, one person can make a huge effect on a big amount of people with an effective email. So one of the things that I've learned over the years is when you're sending out emails, nobody reads emails anymore. Sometimes I get these emails that are like this long, you can't even see the bottom of them. And I get hundreds of emails a day, and I think most people do, a lot of people do. If not, they get tens and tens of emails a day. So if you're trying to communicate with people, a brain dump in an email that goes on for a 5-minute read, some people might like to read that, but I think the vast majority of people do not. I think the vast majority of people, they scan emails. And the same thing with websites these days. It's really hard to get to a website where there's lots and lots and lots of text. I know, I look at it and I sort of like just glaze over when I see all that text. But so when creating an email, it's important to do a couple things. Number one, make sure that it's short. Write it with as short and punchy, bullet pointy kind of ideas that you can. The primary thing is keep to one idea. If you want somebody to take action from an email, you have one ask. If you get two asks, they're going to choose one or the other. They probably won't do both. I would say 80% of the people won't do two actions if you send it to them. Your dedicated people might, but you have to assume that everybody is just kind of getting to this, and they want to be effective, and they want to be advocates for something, but you need to make it easy for them to be an advocate. So the thing that I do always is make sure, number one, there's only one topic in an email. Take action, or sign this pledge, or call this person, or send an email to. Once you write the email, before you send it, look at it again. Can you get rid of 20% of the words? Can you get rid of 40% of the words? That's important because, like I said, people scan, and if you have a paragraph that's more than 3 sentences, people are less likely to read it. Keep it to 2 sentences if you can, even 1-sentence paragraphs. It really needs to be precise. Another thing that's important, a lot of people, and this is how I used to operate, a lot of people would try to give you the backstory and give you the history and then lead up to the ask, and at the bottom there's the ask, sign my petition. Well, if you do that, you're going to lose people because exposition, backgrounders, all that kind of stuff, if they're super important to the cause, you can include them in the email, but don't put them at the top. Put your ask right at the top. You need a very brief. I wish I could share my screen here, but I'm not so good with this Facebook live stuff. But put your ask right at the beginning. Make it a simple 1-paragraph thing, or 1-paragraph or 2-sentence thing, and then put a big button that says act now, or sign the petition, or whatever it is that you want to do. Put a button. People love to click buttons. I look at the analytics all the time in the emails that we send, and 90% of the clicks come from the buttons because it's easy. You can totally get that. And then also another thing to do when you're asking somebody is also put a link, because I say 80% of the people or 90% of the people click a button. That means that 5 or 10% don't. So you should also link your ask, before, I need you to sign this petition. So link sign this petition, and then put a button that says sign this petition. And then you can start to go into the backstory, because most people will just stop there and do your action. If you created a bond or a following, or if somebody is listening to you, listening to your words, they'll go and they'll do your thing that you want them to do. But some people might want a little background. So this is now where you go in the email and put the background in. How did we get here? Why does this matter? What will your thing do? And then, you can explain all that, but it still needs to be very short because people just don't read huge, long things. So that's my email top line idea, that every action-oriented email that I write, I try to do that. And Sarah Brabs, thanks, Sarah. You just asked a question about what advice I have about subject lines. Subject lines in an email are super important, because the truth is, no matter how good you are, if you have a mass audience that you're trying to reach, no matter how important your cause is, you know what the average open rate for a nonprofit or a cause email is? It's 20%. 20% of the people will open your email, no matter how good it is. So people are making a decision to open your email largely, not always, but largely on your subject line. Sometimes people are interested, if you're interested in a cause, you'll open that email. But if you really want them to take action, the subject line of the email needs to be like super clear and compelling. It's almost like it's a shortened version, and I don't know if it's possible, but a shortened version of your ask, and also why it's important to the person that's opening the email. How are you going to change their life by them opening your email? So think about how you do that when you're making that ask. It's like, be better, take action now, or uh, uh, anchor strike, exclamation mark, take action. You know, so they know what's going to happen when they open your email, and they will more likely to do that rather than some like, hey, here's an update. It's like, I don't have time to just like look at everybody's updates. I want to know what's in it for me, you know? And that's the thing about any communication, is always think about how you're impacting the person that you're trying to reach. Because here's the thing that's important to know. Everyone scans. Everybody gets so much information every day thrown at them. The main goal that people have is that they're trying to thrive and survive, right? It's like innate. It's part of your DNA. It's part of your bringing up. It's part of your genetic code. Every decision that you make throughout the day is compared against, how am I as a person going to thrive or survive? How am I going to make money for my family? How am I going to be liked by my peers? How am I going to be able to make a difference with my life? All these issues go through everybody's head with every decision that you make. And if you try to convince somebody that your idea is good for you, the sender, they're less likely to open it, and they're less likely to take action unless you share and show what's in it for them, what's in it for the recipient. So, you know, this is just a recent revelation to me over the past few years, and it's really made a huge difference in my communication, because I'm always putting the other person first and figuring out, what does that person need to thrive and survive, and how can I provide that to them in an easy, quick, effective way, so that I'm not wasting their time, but I'm satisfying a need. You know, people that are interested in the Line 5 pipeline thing, you know, there's a lot of environmentalists, but they love the Great Lakes. They want to protect the Great Lakes. They want to protect the climate. They want to make sure that they have a place to go recreate someday, or even if they've never been to the Great Lakes, this thing is in their head about, we love this place and I want to protect it. Well, speak to that. You know, speak to whatever issue it is that you have that you're trying to get out there. Speak to what it is that will make people thrive and survive, and you'll get a lot more engagement. So I hope that answered your question, Sarah. I just kind of off the top. So let's see, what else can I go into? So the other thing about emails, there's a couple of very sort of like sly sort of things that if you recognize, and I don't remember this every time, but when when something is super important, I'll like put this hat on and I'll think about this. Getting people to take action in an email or by any way, right? Number one, the action has to be easy. You can't expect people to follow a series of steps to get from your ask to that action. Make it easy and let people know it's easy, you know? So a lot of times in our emails, you will see like, send an email to Governor Whitmer. I'll always say, it's easy, it'll take 30 seconds, or we've done the work for you, just click the button and you'll be done. People, number one, want to know it's easy, because they won't do it if it's hard. They're too busy with their own lives to worry about you. And if I can feel good as a recipient of that email by doing something that's easy too, crap, I'll do that, you know? So that's number one. Number two, hold people accountable, right? So, and what this means is, if you want somebody to take that action, do a put something in the email that says, "I'll check back with you to see how it went." So in the back of the person's mind, I don't know if they really truly believe that I'm going to be emailing them or calling them or whatever, but they'll know that somebody else is watching. And it's in our nature to, when we know that somebody is paying attention to what we're doing, it holds us more responsible, right? So if I say, "I'll check back with you and see how it went," or "I'll be back next week to get a report on what on what the governor said," or to follow up and see if you got an email or something, when people have that idea in the back of their mind that I'm going to be following up with them or somebody is watching, they're more likely to take that action. It's kind of a cheat because, rarely do we ever, actually check back in with them. But if people know that they're being paid attention to and that they're going to be held accountable, they could be held accountable, they're more likely to take the action. There was one other major thing, one other thing that goes along with those two ideas, but I've totally forgotten about it. But if it comes to me, I'll let you know. So let's see. If you have any questions, guys, go ahead and write them in the comments here. I've left this time open for a lot of Q&A, and I'm going to have some coffee real quick. So one of the things I feel is important about doing emails and to a big blast of people, you are, as an organizer, it's your responsibility to keep people informed, to get people to take action. And it's also important to get people to give money, because you can't do this work for nothing. I mean, you can. It really hurts, and I did it for many, many years. But you need to be able to fundraise. So in the idea that in an email, you only give them as few words as possible to make it easy for them to do whatever that you want them to do, sometimes issues are much more complex than what will fit in an email. So the thing I like to do is send people back to your website. That's where you can put all the information you want, all the backstory. And once people are on your website, they're more likely, not necessarily, but they're more likely to click around and see what else is going on and possibly give money. If you make a compelling case and show people that you're earning their trust, that you're doing the things that you say you're going to do. Like, we're working every day for Oil and Water Don't Mix. We're working every day to shut down that Line 5 pipeline, and I mean every day. I mean, I don't quit. All the volunteers on this campaign, there's so many, they work all the time, and we don't spend a lot of money, but we do spend money every month, and we need to be able to pay for that. So if you have something long to say, or even if you don't, somehow get them back to your website, get them back to a way that they can see what you're doing, and they can potentially give money, and that's important. Sarah's got another question. Sarah says, something that people might find helpful is email client, stay away from. Rex and email client. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. I use ActiveCampaign, for instance. I used to use MailChimp. I'm not familiar with nonprofit preferred email client, Rex. What do you say, Rex? Recommendations. Okay. Email clients. A lot of them are really good. I mean, I with Oil and Water Don't Mix and Michigan Climate Action Network and Michigan Environmental Council and others, NEMIAC, I've worked with them. I've built websites for them built on this platform called Nation Builder. Nation Builder is an amazing organizing tool that is all in one. It's email, it's website, and it's a contact database. and it also hooks into all the social media, so you know what people are doing online, and it keeps track of what sort of activity and the support that people have for your campaign inside your nation. So all of our emails for those campaigns we send from Nation Builder, because we can track when things are open, we can track when people take action, we know who are the most engaged, we know who gives the most money, we know who shares the most, you know. So those are really good tools from an organizing standpoint. But any email client or any email service, like I like MailChimp myself. MailChimp is super easy to use. You know, it looks good. It's easy to design and make changes, but a lot of those are really good. So MailChimp, Constant Contact. I don't know Active Campaign. I don't know, Sarah, do you like Active Campaign? I don't know about that one. But there's all sorts of really good tools, and I think it's really don't be too concerned about which tool you're using. Be more concerned about the content you're sending out. You know, I think that's important. So let's see. Yeah. Samuel Seth is reminding people to speak to folks' desire to thrive and survive. You know, one of the things that I'm doing we build many websites. We do lots of video. We do a lot of social media stuff on video and also posts. And one of the things that we're always thinking about is how people use websites these days. You know, a lot of people will build a website and they'll put all this information on, and they get it to the place where you think all the information is there. And then somebody goes to the website and especially for a cause or for a political campaign or whatever it is, they're not clear about what you want the visitor to do. You know, a lot of backstory about the candidate, or a lot of history about this or that, or the complex inner workings of the government from whatever cause that you're trying to advocate for. You've got to think about, when people arrive on your website, what do you want them to do? And make it obvious. Because here's the thing. People are going through life scanning material, looking for something that makes them want to thrive and survive. So if you don't have the ask super easy, they're gonna miss your message, because as soon as people have to sit there and try to digest your complex information, and they're burning calories in their brain, and that's a hit on your instinct to thrive and survive, because you've got more important things to do, essentially, right? So it's almost as if people are looking at websites. You have to think like, you know, not to belittle anybody that uses a website, but people are like zombies, right? They're kind of going from like website to website looking for information that's going to help them, right? So it's almost like you have to wake people up from a zombie state. So when they arrive on your website, make it very clear with very simple language what you want them to do. You know, on the homepage, if you go look at the homepage of the Oil and Water Don't Mix site, for instance, always right above the fold, it is like, this is what we do, which is like a one-line paragraph. We're keeping oil out of the Great Lakes. And then there's always an ask. Send an email to Governor Whitmer now with a link. That's what you want them to do. When somebody arrives on the homepage of the website, I don't even want to read them. I don't want them to read all the backstory that's below the fold of the website. And by the fold, I mean like the very first thing that you see. It's like an old newspaper term, right? So you need to keep reminding people and scream it as if they're zombies looking at your website. What do you want me to do? And how is it going to benefit me, right? So always keep those two things in mind. So, you know, I've done a lot of work with StoryBrand, which is sort of a marketing. Well, you know, let me give you a little backstory here for a second. Now that we're 20 minutes into this, my background is I worked on advertising for a good 20 years. I produced thousands of over 2,000 national TV commercials. I lived in Los Angeles for many years. I worked on lots of advertising, and I saw a lot of ways that they get people to push people's buttons to get them to do stuff, even for stuff that they don't need or don't want. Right? I've decided to use my experience for good and not evil. So when I switched into doing environmental stuff, I was also producing TV shows for Discovery Channel, and I did this big show called Final Hour about climate change for Discovery Channel. It was the biggest thing that they had ever commissioned. It was an 8-hour special series about climate change, and we ended up interviewing all the experts, the leading experts around the world, 150 people on our panel that we had conversations with every single day for about a year and a half about what the solutions were to climate change. And that really opened my eyes, and it really made me realize that this is my life's work. I have to work on something about this because I can't let my kids or my grandkids potentially have this horrible world that we're going to leave them to. So I decided to use all my advertising and storytelling skills for good. So in order to do that better, I got into this thing called StoryBrand, which is something that I employ now with everything that I do. And a lot of the little tricks I'm sharing with you guys right now is they're really StoryBrand sort of principles. So recently, the Great Lakes Business Network asked me to redo the homepage of their website because they wanted to. People felt like with the Great Lakes Business Network, and if you're not familiar with them, it's a network of business owners that are concerned about Line 5, and they're also concerned about a couple other environmental issues like invasive species and algal blooms on the Great Lakes. And it's business owners who want to be seen and want to be more socially and environmentally responsible because they feel like the chambers of commerce don't speak for them. You know, when it's all about infinite growth on a finite planet, they're not necessarily for that. They're all for being stewards of the environment, making a profit, giving people what they want, but also making sure that they're doing it responsibly. So they approached me and said, we need to redo the homepage of our website because we're not seeing very much follow through. So I went, and if you want to go glbusinessnetwork.org or .com, I think it is. Maybe Seth, can you find that and dial that up in there? GL Business Network. So you'll see this idea about when you have a website that you're trying to get people to do things. It's pretty obvious what we want people to do when they get there, which is, hey, you're a business that is concerned about the environment. You should sign up with us and become a member. And it's been very effective for them. You know, they have seen their membership grow, and I'm really proud of that because a lot of it is being clear, being direct, being very clear about what you want people to do. And in this case, wake them up from their zombie sleep and sign up with the Great Lakes Business Network. So I'm ready to take some questions when you guys are ready. I'll keep yapping away, but if you have any questions, ask me about this. So from a political standpoint, when Seth contacted me the other day and said, hey, can you help with this from a political organizing standpoint? Let's talk about politics for a second. So getting politicians to do things is a very important thing for just about any cause, because it's not just about the supporters giving you money or taking action or whatever. It's about making sure that that politicians, all the way from your local city commissioner or township clerk, not township drain commissioner, to your state House representative, all the way up to the president, or forget the president, but all the way up to the governor. So here's kind of a list of the things that are the most effective. Number one, making a phone call to somebody's office if you're a constituent, because people that want to get reelected want to hear from their constituents, and they especially at the state level. I don't know about the federal level because I think it's just it's a big mess right now. But at the state level, uh, if you have an issue, if you have a problem or a beef that you need to get cleared up, or you want somebody to do something, call your representative's office. You probably won't speak to them. You can ask to speak to them, but you probably won't get through. But if you leave a message, that message will get through to your politician, and they'll know your concern. Um, and I say if you're a constituent, because a lot of times, if there's a big thing happening where somebody's got to make a decision, I think politicians can sometimes get resentful that they're getting phone calls or messages from outside of their jurisdiction, because they feel like they're trying to be persuaded to do something that their own people don't want, right? So um, it's the most effective thing you can do is call somebody that is directly responsible to you, which is if you are their constituent. So the next thing is send an email. Email is not great. It's not as good as, well, let me put it this way. Email is not as effective as phone calling, but it is effective, especially if it's done in groups, right? If they get a lot of emails about a topic, they'll know that people are paying attention. They'll know that people want something. Emails are very easy to ignore, like a one-by-one email, but if they get thousands of emails, they can't ignore that, right? So if you want to be an effective political advocate, get involved with a group that's doing something that you can be a part of, right? And it's not just sending an email or a phone call randomly, but get involved with that organization if you really are concerned about it, because every organization needs more help, especially nonprofits. And God bless the nonprofits because they keep the world running the way it should be. And organizing yourselves among more like-minded people will help you to get things done. Indivisible is a great example of a group that has kind of sprung up and has been incredibly effective. Our Grand Traverse County Indivisible here is great, and the Leelanau County Indivisible is great. So they get stuff done because they got together and they strategize and they think about what the issues are, and then they act on them in a way that the politicians will pay attention to them. Writing a letter is incredibly effective, like an old-fashioned letter that you actually put a stamp on and send in the mail, because that doesn't happen very often. That's probably more effective than an email, but it takes another step. It takes more effort. But it's definitely, if you feel very passionate about something and you want to get through to a politician, write a letter. One of the things that we are constantly doing with Oil and Water, and also several other nonprofits like MyCan, is that we try to do letters to the editor, because every newspaper in the state is scanned, or every newspaper in somebody's district is scanned by their staff looking for issues that the politician should be concerned about. So that's an automatic win if you get a letter to the editor and it gets published. So, every paper or every outlet has different amounts of words that their limit is. Find out what that is in advance. Research your topic. Be very simple. Be very direct. State your case, your reasons why, and that's the content's important, but it's more important to just get something in the newspaper or get in a media outlet. A lot of times, newspapers they fall off, but now that they're online, obviously they have another life. And then share. One of the things that you need to do whenever you take any kind of action, don't just do it. You're one and done. If you have an opportunity to share what you just did with others and get other people to do it, you amplify your impact. And I say that all the time in my emails, and every time we ask somebody to do something, we ask them to share it, because one person is one person, right? So if you were to get another person, you've doubled your impact. to take action, you know? And if you get three people, you tripled it. And imagine if somebody has a big following. I mean, I'm so grateful when Seth sees something because he's got a lot of followers, right? So he'll share something, and then next thing you know, and I see the traffic, I see the web traffic, and a lot of people go and they listen to their peers and they listen to people that they follow. And if you have influence, I think it's your responsibility to use that influence to get people to take action on the things that you care about. Um, uh, you know, uh, let's see. Oh, I'm going to go back to Sarah here. Sarah volunteers with braverangels.org. And I want and your attention. So it's a Braver Angels is a political nonprofit that helps people communicate respectively across political divides. That's great. I will check that out. I don't know about that one. Um, I'm part of something called the Climate Advocacy Lab, which is a really nerdy um, group of people based in Washington, D.C., and they look at communications about climate. And they use data and analytics to find out which messages are resonate and which are the most effective. So one of the things I learned from them, and this is important when you're thinking about letters to the editor and like public statements, is that the messenger is also very important. So here's a for instance. We found out that people, when talking about climate change, it's a very, unfortunately, which is kind of crazy, but it's a political issue. And it shouldn't be because it's just science. But we found that the most trusted messenger on climate, when it comes to rural communities like most of Michigan, or at least where I live in northern Michigan, the most effective messengers on climate are farmers and ranchers, you know? So if you have a message about climate, go find an association with and help a rancher or a farmer put something in about climate, and it will be much more effective to regular people than will a politician or somebody from a big city or somebody from an oil pipeline company, you know? So the messenger is as important sometimes as the message. So it looks like we're wrapping up here pretty soon. Oh, thanks, Seth, for sharing that website. So yeah, Storylicious. It's I don't do a very good job of promoting my own work, but I love to do work for people that are concerned about environmental issues, and I also do advertising. So you know, I still have to do that occasionally because I'm an activist. But yeah, so we create. Since my background is film production, I do lots of videos, and I love doing short documentaries, and I use all these tricks and all these storytelling things to help move my videos so that they are as effective as possible. And then we also build websites, a lot of websites, and then get involved in all these campaigns with communication and email and social media stuff. So I'm just curious, y'all, who are listening. Do you have any questions about like things that you're working on specifically that I might be able to help you with? Mike Savina is asking, what's my take on the efficacy of divestment campaigns? They are great. You know, they are working tremendously well. I also help run an organization up here called TC350, which is the local wing of 350.org. And 350.org is all about divestment. It's not my expertise, but I know that I've seen what TC350 has done with a divestment campaign, like dump Exxon stock, getting schools to dump things. They're an incredibly effective way, and the oil companies are really feeling the pinch. Shell announced that they have pulled out of several projects, several new oil drilling projects, because they don't have the money anymore, because people are dumping their stock. So if that's something that you're passionate or interested in, There's all sorts of organizations. 350.org is a great one to get involved with. And, you know, informing people about climate, informing people about divesting from things that are killing the planet. So a lot of times people just don't know about them, right? Unfortunately, like I said earlier, it's very politically charged. So educating people about the issues is important in a divestment campaign to see how their divestment matters and how it can make a difference. And the truth is, it really does. So we only have a few minutes left. Um, um, Seth, could you remind me in the comments? Let me promo the next person. Who it is that's coming up next? If you're still there. We have, let me see if I can get it really quick. I'm just totally having a blank. Kate. Kate Bassett's coming up next, and she's going to talk about this advocacy and political stuff. And she's probably much more politically active than I am, maybe even, because I really stick to the environmental stuff. But I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope I turn on some light bulbs, and if not, you know, I'm sorry, but I tried. And hey, so yeah, check out that website, Storylicious. It's STORYLICIOU IO.us. And I'm Bill at Storylicious is my email address. And then also just go see what we do at myclimateaction.org and oilandwater.mix.org and see what's happening over at Michigan Environmental Council. It's just environmentalcouncil.org. And yeah, Kate Bassett's going to is talk about political organizing, and that's coming up in just a couple minutes. So I hope it was helpful. Thank you very much, guys. And thanks once again to Seth and Earthworks Harvest Gathering for organizing this. I think it's a really tremendous thing to do, to share these out and get people to be more engaged. So thanks very much. I'm going to sign off and let Kate get ready to sign on. And like I said, be safe and be active. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.